Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live call with Magdalena on our Facebook fan page. So today I want to talk about something that is super important. And just in case you're new to all of this, I'm going to be doing live questions and answers. So as the transmission is going on, just post your questions. If you're watching it in replay, post your questions and I will look at the questions for the following week and I'll answer them then, okay? Because I know not everybody's able to watch it live. So so the way the format works is that you can ask me anything to do with hormones, food, preferably food and hormones together. And then I'm also going to talk about a specific topic that is close to my heart that I think will benefit everybody. Sometimes it's about something that's really timely. And so today's the last day of September. Tomorrow is 1st of October. And you're going to be seeing a lot of, messages, and there's going to be a lot of content that you're going to be seeing everywhere about breast cancer awareness month, right? Month of October. And so I chose to talk about that, even though it's not October yet, but I decided I want to talk about this because I think it's a super, super important topic. And the reason why I say that is because breast cancer, believe it or not, most breast cancers are actually estrogenic cancers. They happen due to a estrogen issue, which is called estrogen dominance. It's too much of the bad estrogen, the antagonistic estrogen called estradiol. And the way estradiol is metabolized or broken down by the body and what remains and what gets excreted creates the problem with breast cancer. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But you see me wearing a shirt here, right? Did you get the message? Like, did you get that? It took me a while to kind of get it when I first saw it, right? So it says scam, and obviously it's got the pink ribbon on it. Yes, so I've actually been not a proponent of Komen and the whole pink ribbons movement in any way. Because number one, I feel like just marching or running for breast cancer to create awareness, I think there's enough awareness already. But more than that, the organization itself has been linked to a lot of problematic issues. Just the fact itself that only 21% of all the donations go towards research. Everything else is operational cost. The CEO, Susan Komen, has raised her salary to $648,000 a year. They've been downgraded from 4 stars to 2 stars as an organization. But more importantly than that, in my world is just the fact that they have been partnering up with a lot of institutions, organizations, and products that are the very cause of breast cancer, in a lot of women. So I remember once my friend dragged me out to go for a walk with her to march for the awareness. I just wanted to see what the movement is all about. And I can tell you that all the sponsors that were lined up, they were the most toxic companies you could ever imagine. Companies such as, I remember Magdalena was one of the sponsors. Their products are just laden with chemicals that are so well known to be causing estrogen problems, and they are full of what we call phytoestrogens, xenoestrogens, which are the synthetic estrogens that are hugely detrimental to women's health. And when they do autopsy on women's breasts, they found that the various estrogens that are found in these skincare products, cosmetics that we're using, cleaning products, whether it's chemicals like phthalates and SLS, there's a whole list of them. And so that's one of my big reservations, that I will never be a proponent of the pink ribbons. But also, there's an amazing documentary on Netflix called Pink Ribbons Inc., as in INC. And, and it shows that every time a company puts a pink ribbon on their products, the sales go up through the roof. But the percentage that's being donated you're talking about a small percentage, is like a decimal, like a point something percent of the profit, right? So it's not even of the gross sales. So really what's going towards the real research is actually really marginal. So that's one little vent that I have. And, you know, the shirts are available from my friend Chris Work, who is a cancer survivor and a thriver. He had colon cancer in a very young age. And so he's got chriswork.com, I think, oh, Chris Beat Cancer, sorry, is his website. But he wrote an article for me. So if you go to hormonesbalance.com, my website, and you look on the articles, there's one that says pink ribbons, help or scam. And so at the bottom of the article, there are t-shirts like this you can order. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to be wearing these t-shirts for the whole month of October, just because I think it's a really, really important message. So for those of you who are watching us live, if you're just joining us, I can see the numbers are going up. So welcome to today's call. I'm talking about breast cancer and estrogen connection, because of October is going to be the month of breast cancer awareness. So Chris wrote an article for us. Take a look at that. You can order these shirts at the bottom of the article. There are links. But more than that, you know, I've also got an article that we just published literally an hour ago. It just went out, and I'll post the link above this video as well, so you can easily get to it. And it's called Breast Cancer and Estrogen Link, 15 Ways to Prevent and Manage Breast Cancer Naturally. So I want to talk about that because, you know, I think it makes us feel good about ourselves to be involved in causes. And so I'm not saying do not be involved in breast cancer awareness. I just also feel that it requires an additional step, because I think by now most women are aware that this is a problem. A lot of us had a aunt, mother, sister, neighbor, colleague, friend who had some form of cancer happening. I'm sure all of you have experienced that. But more importantly, you know, just to be aware and knowing how to do the scan and massage yourself to find the lumps, it's an important first step. But in my world, I feel like it's waiting for things to happen. It's, you know, like that whole thing about going for a mammogram as a form of prevention. That's not prevention. That's the worst happen. That's waiting for the worst to happen. So in my community, if you've been following me for a while, I'm all about taking action and preventative care, right? But you know what? Guess what? Everything I'm going to be talking about today, and estrogen dominance, is actually, interestingly, it can also help you to also dissolve your, if you have nodules on your breast. And, you know, most doctors will tell you, well, if you have nodules, you know, come back, like, all right, well, they have been benign because they did whatever scan, or worst case, a biopsy, and they will say, well, you know, come back in 6 months' time, right? What do you do during the 6 months to address it? What do you do not to live in a place of fear? And, you know, and so that is something that is really driving a lot of the passion that I have for the work I'm doing, because it connects to hormones. And so I want to share with you, make sure you follow me you're on my mailing list, and follow me on Facebook, because we got a whole bunch of interviews that I did with allopathic doctors, naturopathic doctors, survivors and thrivers, and a genetist as well. I'm actually talking to her this Saturday. We're going to record a video about what can you find out genetically through testing to see what is your risk level. And so all of that is important, but you know, what you will see is that from all those interviews, and even the allopathic doctor, Dr. Mash Saibal, who is, he teaches at Harvard, and he just had a book published, and he says, you know, 90% of cancers are estrogenic cancers. It's only less than 10%. Depends who you talk to. Some people say 5%, some people say 10%. The point is minority of cancers that are developed because of a genetic mutation, and that's represented by the BRCA1, BRCA2. You can easily get that tested. And so, hey, Janice, good morning. Yeah, so, but, you know, imagine, so that's a very small percentage of women, and that's the one that Angelina Jolie had. Her mother, as you probably know, died of ovarian cancer, and so she was also diagnosed with BRCA1, BRCA2, and so she decided to have her ovaries as well as her breast removed. And so, you know, but then you're talking about the 90% of us who do not have BRCA mutation, and yet we can be at risk. And so what is estrogen dominance? Let me just explain that. Hello from Oregon, Stacy Gray. Yeah, come on and say hello and start posting your questions. I'll get to the questions in just a second. Let me get over my estrogen dominance thing because I really want to get this out there and share with everybody. So, you know, estrogen dominance is a little bit of a confusing term because a lot of women who are going through menopause are like, I'm low on estrogen. I do not have a dominance of estrogen. This doesn't apply to me. And hi, Renee from Texas. And so what is important is to recognize that there are three types of, there are actually 16 estrogens, but it's the three estrogens that we really are concerned about is estrone, also known as E1, estradiol, which is the antagonistic estrogen that typically tends to be the problem, and estriol, E3, which is the protective estrogen that gives you really nice moist vagina and plump breast and nice quality of skin, all that good stuff, right? So estradiol, which is that's the one. Hello, Brenda from the UK. That's the antagonistic estrogen. Guess what? When you're using all these main brands in skincare products, you know, from all the brands, and I'll be shameless here, all the Johnson & Johnson and L'Oreal and Maybelline and all the big brands you see advertised on television, those are some of the most problematic brands that contain a lot of these, you know, estrogens I talked about earlier, which convert in the body into estradiol, the E2. It can be dangerous when it's too much of it. And that's the whole thing. You will not be able to function without estrogen. The question is that about balance. And the interesting thing is that estradiol is, there has to be a proportion of estradiol as compared to E1 and E3. That we call it the estrogen quotient. And so, you know, you can test for those things. If you guys are interested in testing, I can post the link here. So just let me know if you're interested in testing. But, you know, the other thing that happens is when the estrogens get broken down, that's when you also look at the metabolites of estrogen. I'm going to talk about solutions in just a second, but let me just give you the little bit of that medical background to all of this. The third thing that you determine estrogen, okay, Monica, I'll put that on. The third thing about estrogens is that how much estradiol you have as compared to progesterone is another marker for looking at whether if you're estrogen dominant or not. So how can you have, this is a very common question, it's a great question, how can you have low estrogen and yet be estrogen dominant? Is that possible? And the answer is yes. And how is that possible is that, you know, remember the three estrogen I talked about? You could be having low estriol, which is that protective estrogen, while you're having very high estradiol. That's the first thing. So do you have estrogen dominance? Yes, because the estradiol, the E2, is aggressive and is very present, but you don't have enough of the protective one. What else can happen is that you have you can be low on estrogens, yes, because even your estradiol could be low, but your progesterone could be even lower. So their relationship to each other is still on the low side. So I hope that explains why is it that this is all possible. But more importantly, I know this community is all about, hey, let's take action and let's do something about it, right? So in the coming month, my team and I have worked really, really hard to create a lot of really great content. I've interviewed 4 people. We've got these videos that is being edited right now. We've got the article that just came out. It's an epic article that we wrote, and it's got tons of content in there. And I've got a whole team of people working on developing recipes, and you're gonna see the recipes coming in, flowing in for the whole month of October. So, so a quick question for those of you who are joining us, just post your questions on the forum and I'm gonna get them to them once I'm finished talking about estrogen. I'm talking about estrogen dominance today in connection with breast cancer, since breast cancer is the month of, gonna be the month of October. So, yes, also introduce yourself. Tell me where you guys from. I'm always curious about that. And I'm going to be doing these calls. I am doing them already every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and that's 1 o'clock Eastern. So, yeah, so, you know, talking about the content, what you're going to be seeing is, hey, Atlanta, Leslie from Atlanta. So what you're going to be seeing is, you know, articles and recipes that really talk about what can you do nutritionally. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this is because estrogen is completely manageable from a nutritional perspective. Karen says, "Hey, hello from London. Love your work." Thank you, Karen. That's very touching. So, let's talk about a couple of food options here that you can start looking and incorporating into your life. One of my absolute favorites are cruciferous vegetables. In case you're not familiar, cruciferous would be anything from all your broccoli sprouts, your broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, kale, collard greens. Charts are not, and spinach is not a crucifer, just to let you know, okay? A lot of people get that confused. Watercress, right, is also a cruciferous. And so they do an incredible job for the liver. And guess what? The liver, which is right under your rib cage right here, your liver is instrumental in getting rid of metabolized estrogen, right? Or metabolizing estrogen and getting rid of the used up estrogen to make space for the new one. And so this is the reason why I love cruciferous, is because they help the liver to get rid of the metabolized estrogens, but they also have a tendency to skew the balance, the metabolism of one of the estrogens called estrogen. How the estrogen is metabolized or broken down can really skew the balance towards a protective metabolite by using cruciferous vegetables. So if you can bring on 3 to 4 servings, or starting off with 2 to 3 servings a day, preferably 3 to 4 servings a day of whether it's, I prefer it in a form, lightly cooked form. If you have thyroid problems, please do not be afraid of cruciferous vegetables, because they are not going to cause your thyroid to fail. And what is most importantly is that they are so rich in nutrients as well. Block to another. Cruciferous vegetables will not be causing you a thyroid failure. But having said that, I do not recommend to be juicing large amounts of kale and cruciferous vegetables and then drinking like a whole pint of them every day, because that's when problems can start happening. And I don't think it's because it slows down the thyroid, because there's no research whatsoever that shows that cruciferous vegetables really inhibit thyroid function. But what I am discovering now that they're high on oxalates, and I talked about oxalates last week, that the oxalic acid and the crystals can deposit themselves in the thyroid, causing thyroid failure. So you don't want to overdo these vegetables, but having them in the form of steamed veggies on your plate, taking up, like when you look at your plate and it's like taking up half of the plate, you've got these really beautiful cruciferous vegetables, way to go. Even better still, doing sauerkraut, because cabbage is a crucifer as well. And so doing sauerkraut, not only are you getting the cruciferous benefits, but the benefits of a crucifer, but also the fermented food, which is basically the great bacteria. What else? My other absolute favorite, and actually there are studies that show that in a cup and a half of broccoli sprouts, these little tiny sprouts, I actually just finished them this morning, so I can't even show it to you, but these little sprouts, which you can get in a lot of health stores, or you can grow it yourself. It's super simple, 5 days, and from a seed they basically grow really quickly. These lovely seeds are, the sprouts themselves contain a substance called sulforaphane. And believe it or not, there are studies, and we actually talk about that in the article that I've just published. These little sprouts have the ability of shrinking breast cancer tumors and lumps and cysts, and if it's like in ovaries, and as effectively as tamoxifen, which is a drug that's prescribed to estrogen receptor positive breast cancer in women, which is a big majority of women. However, tamoxifen creates a lot of different side effects, and in the prolonged usage of 4 years and more, it can create actually as much as a liver failure, right? And for those of you who've been on tamoxifen, I'm just wondering, does tamoxifen really suppress estrogen? Brenda is asking. Yes, it does. It does. I mean, it blocks the receptors in the breast. And so what's fascinating about the broccoli sprouts, and look at the article, And I talk, sorry, broccoli sprouts, correct. Sometimes I get confused with Brussels sprouts, but broccoli sprouts, yeah. You know, it's, I mean, there are studies that we linked back to that show the shrinkage of tumors. And so, you know, and I'm not saying here to anybody you should stop taking tamoxifen and start doing broccoli sprouts as a replacement, because it is a life-changing decision. You can talk to your doctor, find an integrative oncologist, and start doing a transition. You can start looking at doing two at the same time and weaning yourself off if that's something you are interested in doing. So that's you know, and then let's see, the third thing I want to maybe talk about is how do you support your liver? And one of my favorite ways, there's a lot of foods that you can do to support your liver, because the liver is so important in helping us detoxify us from estrogens. One of my favorite ways of doing it is to do castor oil packs. And what it means is you basically buy castor oil, you buy a flannel, you saturate the flannel with castor oil, and put it on your rib cage. Here is on the right side on your rib cage, and a little bit of the liver sticks out of your rib cage. So you do a pack on it, put a heat pack on it, like a hot water bottle or electric one, or the ones you preheat in an oven or a microwave, and then just keep the heat on. The heat is gonna open up the cells, the skin, and all that castor oil is gonna go in there. It's a wonderful way of supporting your liver to open up the pathways that help us methylize and detoxify us from estrogen. So I've got those 3 tips for you. There's a lot more you can learn about how do you support your liver during this time. And go to cookingforbalance.com. I've got a free workshop that I'm offering, and I talk about there the importance of the gut, liver, and sugar levels and helping you rebalance your hormones. So a lot more tips on the liver there. There's only so much I can talk about it today. So check out cookingforbalance.com. So let me go over to the questions, because I know you guys have been asking a few questions. I've got that on my computer. Let me just reload the page and then get over the questions right there. And so I also have a question for you guys. What's coming up for you when I talk about estrogen dominance and breast cancer? Like, has anybody here been experiencing lumps? Have you ever been found with lumps in the past? I have, and I remember that was one of the scariest things in my life. And so just the whole notion of fixing an appointment, finding a doctor, going through the whole debate of, do I do a mammogram or do I just do a sonogram, or do I do a, you know, like, how do I proceed with that? Can I reverse it? And I just want to share with you is that all my lumps are gone, and just doing the things that I talked about, those cruciferous vegetables, those broccoli sprouts. I incorporated a lot of liver supporting protocols. Susan is asking about thermograms. Yeah. So yeah, I like them. I don't, you know, there are people who are in integrative space who have reservations around them, that sometimes they don't pick up things. But I think it's a wonderful way of getting that diagnosed as well. So I do like that. So let me see about the questions that are coming in. So somebody was asking about, why is it not allowing me to see comments? Somebody was asking about, I think polyps I saw and fibroids. And so yes, so let's talk about estrogen dominant symptoms. Actually, that's a really good point. You're talking about breast lumps, that's a big one, any form of nodules in the breast, but also having ovarian cysts, as well as, you know, having endometriosis is another one. But you know what, you guys, like the simplest first thing, PMS, right? I mean, we as women, we've been told by our culture that having PMS is a normal thing. And I can tell you that it is really not. And the more I work on my own health, the more I can see that whenever I'm stressed out, if I resort to coffee or sugar as a way of coping, because, for example, of a stressful month, my PMS will be from hell. And by the way, coffee is another thing that really inhibits that very pathway that detoxifies us of estrogen. So, and it can be an inhibitor of that pathway. So, water retention, right? So, like around your period, like you having your hands start swelling up, right? Water retention can be a sign of estrogen dominance. For some women, it's like even, actually another really big one, thyroid nodules, So who here has thyroid nodules? Let me know. I'm curious to know. But thyroid nodules, believe it or not, is also a sign of estrogen dominance. In fact, thyroid cancer, which is the #1 growing cancer in the country, is an estrogenic cancer as well, something that a lot of people do not know. One of the tips I want to give you is if you have your thyroid labs done and test for 2 types of antibodies. One is the TPO, thyroid peroxidase antibodies, that will confirm that you have Hashimoto's or not. If it's elevated, it confirms Hashimoto's. But then the other one, which is called thyroglobulin antibodies, TGB antibodies, thyroglobulin antibodies, these that can confirm that you have estrogen dominance. Okay, so Susan is saying that her mom's thyroid got nuked, and then after that she was, let me see if I can go back to, this is annoying. I was hoping that I can see your questions coming in live, but somehow it's not happening. So yeah, so definitely something to look into, estrogen dominance, and I'll be happy to post the link up above, including, I don't do testing anymore, but one of the things that you will find in the link that I'm gonna post is where you can order the test yourself. So you don't even have to fight with a doctor and be paying for doctor appointment. If you're working with a naturopath, it can be like $250 to $400 a visit just to order a testing, and you don't need to do that, right? So definitely something that I would recommend doing if you have history. And so it's a really important point, Brenda, and thank you for bringing this up, is that we have a lot of similarities. Let me just read the question here. Checking it will be a path cause problems in your intestines. Somebody's asking if estrogen is causing problems in the intestines. I mean, no, I would say actually the other way around, that there is something called estrobolome, which is a subset of bacteria in the gut. And the estrobolome those bacteria, believe it or not, are responsible for breaking down estrogens. And so there's more and more research now coming out on that. And I do talk about it in the cookingforbalance.com free workshop. So I would really encourage you to sign up for it and watch it. It's an hour and a half, and it's super packed with information, stuff you can walk away with and do right away. Yeah, so that's a really good point, is that, it's something that you can definitely completely avoid. And that's my whole message here about estrogen dominance, is that it's such a preventable condition. So back to the gut question, I would say it's actually the other way around, when you have digestive issues that can cause estrogen dominance rather than the other way around. So let's see what else, let's see what other questions you guys coming in, and I'm gonna wait for the questions. In the meantime, I wanna just tell you so I don't forget, did you guys know we have this really cool giveaway? I mean, we're giving like 69 prizes and just products, giving away a whole bunch of my books from my library, some of my favorites. If you scroll down to the page of what you have going on, like when you go on the Cooking for my fan page, I think you must be on my fan page on Facebook right now if you're watching this. And if you just scroll down the feed, you'll see every day we've got the giveaway stuff. And the way it works is that we ask you to tell friends who you think will benefit from products like that and introduce them to the community. And the people who are the biggest referrers basically are going to win the products. I want to tell you about a couple of things. So one of the really great products, cassava flour. I just absolutely love this flour, from Otto's. Fabulous owners, very supportive. And, what's great about this flour is that if you're avoiding grains at this point, if you're not doing, if you're doing paleo, you're doing AIP, it's AIP compliant. And if you have nut sensitivities, because a lot of, the paleo recipes are all about using almond flour and cashew flour, meal and all that. And truth be told, there's more and more people having now problems with nuts. And so what do you do? And so I really like the cassava. And you know what? It's almost a one-on-one replacement to gluten flour. That's how incredibly well refined this flour is. I would say refined as in made, right, processed, and how they make it. The making process is really awesome. And they're giving away these really big bags. This is worth a lot of money, I can tell you that. I can't remember exactly the price, but I think it's like $34 or something. So they're giving away 5 of those. The other thing I want to tell you about is NutriBullet. So we've got like a whole bunch of NutriBullets that NutriBullet has agreed to give away. We're giving away 5 full sets and systems. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm going to post the link as well for the giveaway for this as well. How do you enter? You still have another 6 days to go. So get to work, start sharing it with your friends. I want to show you, you know, one of the things that I'm doing now is that I'm drinking a mushroom coffee. So I just made it this morning, and I make it with the NutriBullet as a little shake because it's easy to make it into a latte. And I've been using, you know, these mushrooms, coffee mushrooms, so mushroom coffee, because I try to stay away from caffeine as much as I can. And so they've got a whole bunch of different mushroom coffees, including with one with cacao. They have mushroom hot coffee, and this one is with reishi mushrooms. They're using a whole bunch of different ones. They're using lion's lime. They're using cordyceps. They are using chaga and reishi, and all of these mushrooms have properties helping you rebalance your immune system, as well as they are anti-carcinogenic. So how awesome is that, right? And you know, one of the things that I've put in my drink this morning when I make this latte is Artisanal, and Artisanal is giving away products as well, coconut oil and coconut butter. I use coconut butter in this because I don't quite like using coconut milk in it. I don't quite like the taste so much. But when you use the butter, it's just so awesome. It's oil and the pulp blended together, so it's like a wonderful replacement for dairy. And the last thing I want to just tell you is that who here has been using Anne-Marie Johnny's products? So I've been like, they're on my table here all the time because that's like my little, you know, like a little ritual that I do. And so they are giving away their anti-aging product line, a whole bunch of sets. I can't remember whether it's 3 or 5 of them. And this is worth a lot of money, I can tell you that, because their products are not cheap, but they're incredibly amazing. And you don't need a lot of it, so it lasts you for a very long time. So, hey, you guys, make sure you join us for the giveaway because it's really awesome. Can you use the mushroom coffee following the anti-candida protocol? Lisa is asking. Great questions. Yes, you can. The mushrooms that are problematic are the button mushrooms. Catherine is saying, love Anne-Marie Johnny's products. Great. Get to work. Tell more ladies about it. You know, yeah, so these mushrooms that I mentioned, the chaga, the reishi, the lion's mane and all that, these mushrooms are not so much of they don't have those yeast in them, unlike button mushrooms that you have in stores, right? So the commercial mushrooms that we're buying. So they're perfectly fine. I'm just going to get a sip of this because I'm so thirsty now. This is really good. So I just saw a question about broccoli sprouts reducing estrogen. Yes, they absolutely are. That's what I talked about. Judy's asking, where do you get these? So it's a giveaway we're running, and if you enter and refer friends to us, and you're one of the top referrers, then you get these products. That's how we're doing it. And honestly, I mean, it's been you know, it's really not that difficult to win something because we have so many prizes to give away. There's going to be 70 of you winning something. So send it to like 5 friends, 7 friends. You know, women, I prefer if it's women, I think, because women will appreciate that kind of stuff more than anyone else. Also, the topic I'm talking about today, and I'm going to be focusing for the rest of the month talking about estrogenic cancers, right? And about breast cancer and breast management. So we're gonna do have more conversations about that. One of my asks of you is that I would love for you to help me get the word out and tell as many women who you think are going to benefit from this as you have, right? So women who have history of breast cancers in their family, women who have, who have themselves had lumps and scares, and who have gone for mammograms and everything is negative. But my point is, do not wait for things to happen. Do not live from a place of fear. Live from a place of empowerment, from a place of, I want to take care of myself, and I know there's certain things I can do to basically, mitigate that buildup of that estrogen. That estrogen that I talked about, estradiol, it's what causes the multiplication of the cancer cells, right? In a breast, in ovaries, in a uterus, and in a thyroid. And for people who do not smoke, the non-smokers, lung cancer is also an estrogenic cancer a lot of the time. And the last one for you guys, for your man, whether it's your son, it's your husband, your partner, whatever, whoever is the guy, your brother, your father, is, guess what? It's prostate cancer. And problems with the prostate in man are also due to estrogen, right? So every good reason to really build up their arsenal of the things I talked about. I talked about 3 things today. You can start that and right away, right? Add cruciferous vegetables, 2 to 3 cups of servings every day. Incorporate broccoli sprouts to your protocol, a cup a day. And, you can put them in a smoothie. You can just eat them straight up. Or, you want to juice them. Maybe that's, you're kind of losing out a little bit on the fiber side of things, but it's better than nothing. And lastly, do those castor oil packs on your liver, right? So those are simple 3 things that you can start off right away to start feeling the difference. And I can tell you, I've worked with so many women before, and by just practicing these 3 things, it made a humongous difference. Brenda is asking, if you've been diagnosed, had surgery, and given the all clear, can you still follow these protocols? Can you? I think you absolutely should follow these protocols. Totally important. Jude is asking, MD said to take progesterone. Okay, yeah, so that's, that's one way of managing health. I work with nutrition, right? I'm a nutritionist, so that's why I might be a little bit biased towards food. I think progesterone is important, and it can really help a lot. It's just that I want to challenge you here a little bit and say, why is it that your own ovaries aren't producing progesterone? What is taxing your body? What are the toxins? Maybe stress, maybe lack of sleep, maybe, inflammation that's going in your body because you got a problem with sugar, you got a problem with stress, you got a problem with, whatever, poor digestion that's creating inflammation. And that inflammation is causing your ovaries not to be producing sufficient progesterone. So I like progesterone because it gives you a quick fix. It helps you sleep better. It can you can get pregnant, much more successful. You can hold on to pregnancy much more effectively. It keeps you calmer. It takes away anxiety attacks. There's a lot of benefits to doing progesterone. But I think in the old age, so Jude is saying in the old age, yeah. But believe it or not, Jude, even in the old age, your ovaries are still producing progesterone. Even in fact, women who have lost their ovaries, and I've worked with women like that who lost their ovaries and decided to go on no bioidentical hormones at all for what their own personal choice. And the fascinating thing about the body is that the body compensates for things. There are body systems that step in to compensate. And in women, believe it or not, the system that can you guys guess what is the one gland that steps in to produce progesterone when the ovaries are removed or they are dead? What's that one gland? Does anybody know? So I'm gonna keep talking and see whether you guys got that, because there's a slight delay on the screen. So the answer is your adrenals. And so if your adrenals are taking pituitary, after the pituitary is the adrenals. So close, Susan. Yeah, so the adrenals is what is actually will step in and start producing progesterone. And so isn't that fascinating? And so, like I said, I've worked with women who've lost their ovaries because of total hysterectomy. and did not need to go on any progesterone creams because they got the body to a point of so much balance, the adrenals were able to step in and take care of the progesterone needs. Of course, this is not a progesterone level of having a cycle anymore, or of course getting pregnant or anything like that, but it's keeping us in a place of balance and symbiosis and happiness and, you know, and just functioning really well. Having said that, if you feel like this is something that you really want to do, then go ahead for it. You know, Brenda is asking, broccoli sprouts is watercress. No, totally different. No. So broccoli sprouts, if you just Google it, look at broccoli sprouts. In the United States, I know they're available in pretty much every health store has it. And better still, get broccoli sprouts, these little seeds, in a health store. Just get them online and start sprouting yourself. We've got a whole sprouting guide and a Cooking for Balance program. And so, yeah, if you look at cookingforbalance.com, do the workshop, see if you want to do the full program. I teach them how to sprout different things as well. It costs you a fraction of a cost, and you know, it's a fraction of a cost compared to buying it. It's kind of fun to see these little sprouts growing. So let's see, what other questions do you guys have coming in? And I typically like to keep the call to about 45 minutes. So we are just about the time that it's coming. And so just one more time to repeat, look at all the articles that we've got coming out. The first one is already out about estrogen. Really, really important topic. Getting yourself into a mode of preventative care, of not waiting for a breast lump to happen. And if a doctor tells you, oh, you've got a lump, come back 6 months later, you want to take action now. You don't want to be waiting in fear, and every time you take a shower, you feel it. Every time you check yourself, you can feel it, right? So Judith's asking what to take for balance. I'm not sure, what are you referring to? Like, I need a more complete question. Balance of what? Hey Jude, I recommend go to cookingforbalance.com, do the workshop, because that's where I really talk about the whole thing about balance, finding balance through the gut, through digestion, through the gut, through liver, and through the sugar levels. Okay. Hey you guys, so awesome to have you here. The community is growing and growing. I started off with 18 people live. Now we've got like 45, 47. It was touching 50 at times. So really very grateful for your questions. Really great questions. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to post the links as I promised you. And I will see you next Friday on another call. Bye for now.